Okay, welcome back. This is Frequently Missed Questions Explained for Chapter 6. And on just a note for this chapter, there were a couple questions in here that we'll get to that I actually threw out when I was grading because I really didn't feel like you had enough information from the book. Like later on, the information is there and you probably could have answered the questions, but where the quiz was at, you just really didn't have enough information yet to answer the question, I thought. And I got a lot of questions about them. So I threw those ones out while grading, and I will make a note of it when we're going through this, which ones those were. Okay, so this first question here is talking about being accepted to graduate schools, and they're asking here under which condition will she experience the most dissonance. So when I read this question, when I'm thinking about most dissonance, I'm thinking about most justification for action. So right away, I kind of replace that dissonance word in my head with justification. So the answer here is right after she decides which program to attend and notifies the school of her decision. So here she's committed to the process. She's already committed to the school, and she's going to have to justify to herself why that was the best one. Um, when she's thinking about the pros and cons of both programs before making up her mind, she's not committed to either one of those. So she's not going to be trying to justify a decision after the fact. Remember that dissonance happens after the decision is made. Um, and the other two answers had sort of low responses, but Megan's going to experience an equal amount of dissonance in each of the three circumstances. We just talked about they had to make the decision before we experience dissonance. And she's pretty sure which program she wants to attend, but has not yet notified the school of her decision. So she doesn't have as much dissonance in this situation because she hasn't told the school yet. She could still back out, she could still change her mind. This was one of the questions that it caused a little bit of trouble. So this question is, you're selling $30 souvenir books for a book club or a club fundraiser. How could you use the technique of lowballing to improve your sales? So when they're describing lowballing in the book, they use a car sales technique. And I have to tell you guys, this actually happened to me today because I was buying new tires. And this is an excellent example of lowballing. And I was actually thinking about it the whole time we were having this transaction. But what happened was the salesman gave me a quote on a set of new tires, which, by the way, like, avoid that at all costs. It's very expensive. And then when I went to check out, there was actually another line item on there that was like a warranty for however many years, but it added $90 to my bill. And so basically what happened here is he was lowballing me. He gave me a price that I could justify in my head. I had already done all of this justification. And so now when it gets to the time to check out, I'm more likely to just go with that extra $90 because I've already made the decision. I've already spent all of this time justifying why I need new tires. So that's kind of another example if that one in the book wasn't working for you. So this has a similar sort of feel to this first answer here. They start by selling the books at $25. Once the customer has retrieved his or her checkbook, you tell them that you made a mistake and the books are actually $5 more than you thought. So process being, once you tell them they're 25, they make the decision to buy. They're already justifying it in their head as they're pulling out their checkbook or wallet or whatever. And then they're more likely to pay that extra $5 than if you had just hit them with the $30 price right off. I think maybe this second one was a little bit confusing because this is a sales technique, but it is not lowballing. And actually, lowballing is a little bit more effective than this technique here too. So that's what's going on with that one. This one was a confusing question for a lot of people. I got a couple of questions about this, and I actually did not count it when I was grading. I exempted it. And I'll tell you why in just a second. So Jake's professor tells Jake that if he's caught cheating on an exam, he will be expelled. Amanda's professor tells her that if she is caught cheating, she will have to write only a short paper about it, why cheating is wrong. If both students don't cheat, dissonance theory would predict that. And then we have a list of options. So right away, we're thinking the problem with this question that I got a lot of questions about was, why is anybody feeling honest if they're not cheating? Like, they didn't actually end up cheating. Why are they feeling honest or guilty about it? It doesn't really affect them. So one of the ways here that you can sort of rationalize this is if they are tempted to cheat. And this is again one of the reasons I threw these questions out, because it doesn't really specify that they're tempted to cheat. But if you think about if they're really tempted to cheat, but then they thought a lot about the consequences of cheating, then they might feel more honest about it afterward, more good about their decision to not cheat um, after all of this. So the answer here is Amanda is going to feel more honest than Jake will. Jake's professor lays out a very strict, expelled policy. He doesn't really have to justify to himself why he's not going to cheat on an exam. Amanda has a lower punishment here, just writing a short paper about why cheating is wrong. But she has to justify to herself, why am I going to work hard to not cheat? Because the penalty is so low. I also like to think about if you want to reverse this one. I used to coach a team of children, and they taught me a lot about life. But this one really worked a lot with stickers. And originally, I was giving out really big prizes for when they did well, like full candy bars and all of this stuff. I was the best coach ever. But actually, they were more motivated when I was giving out little stickers as rewards as opposed to a bigger reward. And dissonance theory here predicts that they would actually have to justify why they worked that way harder if they were going for a small reward rather than a big reward. So the reverse kind of works the same with punishment. Okay, your friend Amy asks you what you think of the shoes she's just bought. Privately, you think they're the ugliest shoes you've ever seen, but you tell her you love them. In the past, Amy has always valued your honest opinion and doesn't care much about the shoes, which were inexpensive. Because of external justification for your fib was blank, you will probably blank. So the correct answer here is low, and you decide you like the shoes. And let's talk a little bit about how we got that first answer, how we decided if it was low or high. So I'm looking at this external justification sentence, the second sentence here. In the past, Amy has always valued your honest opinion and doesn't care that much about the shoes, which were inexpensive. So you don't, she doesn't care about them all that much. So you don't, the external justification piece is pretty low. So to make up for that, you have to decide you like the shoes in order to make dissonance theory work here. You wouldn't maintain the view that the shoes are ugly because it is low, because the external justification is low. So remember, if it comes to a test question like this, if the external justification is low, then you have to change your behavior. If the external justification is high, then you don't have to change your behavior. If you want to go back to like the stickers example with this one, when I was coaching, the external justification, that sticker was pretty low, so they had to decide they liked the activity that they were doing. But when I was giving them bigger rewards, the external justification was pretty high, and so they didn't have to change their ideas about what they were doing at all. Okay, and this is actually one of my favorite effects. I really like this one. Based on the Ben Franklin effect, you are most likely to increase your liking for Tony when, and your options are lending Tony $10, Tony's returning, $10 you loaned him, or he loans you $10, or Tony finds it. So, remember here that even though colloquially we kind of think like if I do somebody a favor, they will like me better, it's actually kind of the opposite that's true. If somebody does a favor for you, then they have to justify to themselves why they did that for you, and they have to justify that to themselves, and so they will actually like you more. So in this scenario, if you lend Tony $10, you have to justify to yourself, why did you loan that money to him? Is it because he's a good person? You sort of start making reasons up for why you have loaned him this $10. All right, so that's actually the end of the most frequently missed questions for this week. I did notice kind of a weird pattern in your results that didn't come up in other chapters. I had some students that were getting 100%, and then some students that were doing a lot differently, a lot lower than they had on other sections. So if there are any questions that you guys want me to go over, or if you want to talk about why this chapter was a little bit different, please shoot me an email. I'm totally open to talking about all of that kind of stuff and making suggestions on about how to study for your test this week. All right, so that is it. I will come out with a new video tomorrow to explain the last chapter in this unit before you guys take your test. So please let me know if you have any questions, and have a great day.